Today I want to show you some foundational elements of how you can create animated textures within Photoshop. Have you ever wanted to get that hand-drawn look and feel, and you've played around in After Effects with, the wiggle paths and different things, but you can't quite get it to look like really hand-drawn? Well, Photoshop is actually the best tool for the job in order to do this. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I've used this to create some circles, some X's, some extra sprites, so to speak, to be able to accent my work within After Effects. So before we get started, there are two things that you need to understand first. So we need to get the brushes. So let's hop into Photoshop. And within Photoshop, if you hit B or go to your brush tool, you can select Get Brushes, and that's going to kick you out to the Adobe site and Kyle's brushes. These brushes are fantastic. There's a ton of them, and I encourage you to download and play with all of the different versions. After you've downloaded those brushes, you can go back to the same gear, and you're going to want to go down to Import Brushes. So if you click on that, you can navigate to your brushes, and once here, you can import them, and you'll see that they now appear under your brushes, and you're all set to go. So the second thing that I need to cover with you is flow, this option here at the top of Photoshop. So let's take a brush and draw two different lines here so you can see the difference of flow. And the best way that I can explain flow is the lower percentage of flow is going to give you a less opaque outer edge of the stroke. And if I turn the flow all the way up to 100, you're going to see that it's going to be completely filled in. And you're not going to really get any fall off, so to speak, on the edges of the brush stroke. Now, I'm going to be using a Wacom pen for this tutorial, but you're really not going to see a big difference if you use a mouse, given what we're doing here today. If this is something that interests you, I highly suggest that you start to look into different options that you have for pens or tablets, because the pressure and sensitivity of the tip that you can get when you're drawing is what really makes the difference. So now that you have all that information, let's jump in and get started. Before we get into the animation and into the timeline within Photoshop, I actually want to jump into After Effects and show you what we're going to be doing and the reason behind how we're going to be doing it. So if I hit F9 on these keyframes, just a general easy ease, and when I play that back, it's kind of boring. It comes across, yeah, I move my anchor point over here, separated dimensions here so I could scale up from 0 to 100% on the scale on the X. But if we go in and we pull these handles a little bit more, and what we're looking for is more of a steep line here. So now when I play this back, you can see it kind of starts slow and then it shoots out and then it resolves a little bit slow as well. So this is the look and feel that I want to go for when I'm animating within Photoshop. So let's hop back over to Photoshop, and I have my brush, and what I want to do is create a couple of new layers here, and then I want to go up to Window, and I want to go down to Timeline. So this creates a brand new timeline. So I'm going to hit Create Frame Animation, and I'm going to hit this button down here so that I can see it a little bit more like I'm used to in After Effects, because that makes more sense to me. And this is essentially going to be frame by frame animation. Let me just delete this bottom layer because I don't really want that there. And what I like to do is highlight all these and take them down to 2 frames. That was 1 frame. So let's go 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. And now we're just going to layer these. Offset them. I can just hit Command or Control to just deselect that bottom one. Great. So now I just have a whole bunch of empty layers. So now I can start. So I'm going to put the playhead at the very beginning and click on this bottom one. I'm going to hit B. And what I want to do, I'm going to adjust my flow here to 30% because I like that look the best. So I could just go and just wipe across the whole canvas here. But Command Z to undo that. What I want to do is just start. Remember, in that After Effects composition, we started slow and then we sped up and then we slowed to a finish. So I want to recreate that here. What I'm going to do is if you hold Shift while you draw, it's going to constrain side to side. So that's what I want to do, but I don't want the line to be this long. I want it to start a little short. I'm going to hold Shift and start to drag out. So that's my first frame. And when I get here, I want to be able to see this frame. So what I need to do is go over here to this hamburger button on the upper right-hand side of the timeline, and I'm going to turn on onion skins. And what that means is that I'm going to see the frame before. And it's grayed out, so I know that that's the frame before. So now I can go and draw so that I can get as close to possible as the previous line. So I need to select this next layer, and I'm going to hold Shift again. And I want to make this one much longer, most of the way. And if I go to this next one, I want it to start animating off a little bit. So I'm going to start a little bit further over. And I want it to go a little past this. I'm going to hold Shift. And there we go. I'm starting, going all the way. And now for this last one, I just want it to resolve here at the end. So I'm just going to create a short one there. And I actually don't need this last layer here. So I'm going to delete that. And let me go in here and turn off onion skinning so you can see what this looks like. If I hit play, it's just going to loop. So we created our brush stroke that's animated within Photoshop. And the reason I like doing this way is because it gives it that hand-drawn look and feel that you would have to use effects or other things within After Effects to achieve. So everything's not perfect. And it's what makes this feel really nice, is that it's not perfect. As you can see, I drew on a transparent background. So what we need to do when we go to export, I click Render Video. And in order for this transparency to work, I need to set my encoder to QuickTime. It might default to H.264 on you. That just means that you're going to get a black background if it's transparent. And with the black brush stroke, you're not going to be able to see anything. So if you run into this issue, just make sure you go in here and change it to QuickTime. And animation high quality is going to give you the result that you're looking for with this transparent background. Then hit render. And then let's hop over into After Effects. All right, so I have this asset loaded into After Effects here. I click out of this, and I'm also going to turn on my transparency back here, and I'm going to hold Shift and move this up so that we can see what we're doing here. Make sure we're fit up to 100%. And I'm just going to drop this on here. And now we can use this in After Effects. So there you have a background on how to start creating using brushes in Photoshop and animating in Photoshop, and then taking that render and using it within After Effects.